Ok. Good. Tạ ơn Chúa. Rồi bây giờ cái lớp là sau đó lên trên này đi. Please come in. Thank God, finally. I don't know how I survived for 30 minutes. That's a miracle. So,
Thank you, Jack. I can survive for like 5 hours, 4 hours.
but you have a talent for it. I don't. So thank you for coming to this our meeting today. You look young, handsome, beautiful, and many times the church says that the future belongs to the youth. Of course it is. The only problem is it belongs to, but we cannot lead at this moment. We don't allow young people to lead the church. And you understand why? Give me the reason why the church did not trust young people to lead. Not only church, but what about society? Why they capped the age? Why don't they lead? Why don't they let us lead the society, but put the society away? Why don't they let us to lead the church?
They think we're too young to understand the world.
Too young to understand the world. Is it right answer? Do you agree? I will ask all of you, so maybe the first line first and then the second, and you must have a big opinion. Either opinion is yes or no or something. Huh? Why don't you think that they allow the young people to lead the church, like to become bishop or something? Because some of you very energetic, very bright. Why don't they let young people to lead the church?
I think it's because they're scared that like the youth will mess it up or like they'll do something wrong.
Okay. What else? You can repeat the idea of the person who said that before you. Sometimes if you agree, it's fine. What else? Why?
Because we don't hold the same values as the older generation does.
And what is the reason behind that? Why don't you keep the whole value like the older generation? Why do we have a different view?
Because we live in a different world and a different time.
And why? What else? If you agree, we can agree with them, it's fine. But why don't they let young people to lead the church?
Because since they're still young, they're still susceptible to temptation.
Great. What do you give the answer? Why? What else?
The older generation is wiser than we are.
What's the difference between wiser and more intelligence?
Well, they know more than we do. Intelligence is just what we learn from them, which is simpler for us.
Yes, a little similar to that. But actually, intelligence is the capacity to solve to give the solution. If I give you 25 time 25, you can say something. Intelligence, ability to give a solution. Wise is not to give solution, but how to put the solution in the context of what it should be solved. And that needs the elderly people. Sometimes they are not the one who give you the solution, but the one who help you how to do it. To put that, the wise is a little different. They don't solve it, but they put in the context of how to solve it. What else?
I feel that they could take advantage of it.
Who take advantage of it?
Of the younger generation.
Take the advantage of what?
Of the church, of how people view what they believe and what they don't believe.
Good. 2, 3 more, 4 more. Why don't they let the young people to lead the church?
They're not as experienced.
Okay.
I was gonna say that too.
Okay, great.
The older one, they have more experience, and then they already like go through like most of the problems, so they can solve all the problem at the church. They already they have a longer years and at church, so they know more than the younger one. So I believe they have a better, they're better leading the church than us.
And the last one.
We have to like go through chain.
Who's going through change? I think the elder also going through changes too.
Well, training.
Oh, training. Okay. Say it again.
Like, they have to go through training.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. So young people need to go through training for that. Okay, perfect. That isn't my point. You know that every time we get together to talk about church and faith, young people always have something in their mind, and I really respect that because you grow up and you should have a question. And I respect those who have a questions. If you don't have a question, two things can happen. Either your faith is dead, you careless about that, you indifferent, and those people are not worth it to talk about. Or either faith is dead, that's part of that. Or you don't understand what you are having right now. When young people have a question about faith, anything about church, it's a very good because it begins to search for the answer. Remember, question is the cause to find the answer. So every time you have a question about church, question about faith, question about yourself, why did the church teach it? Why did the church want us to do this? Any question is not only valid and good, legitimate, but also it kicks in and it's asked you to find the answer. Of course, you have to come to the right place, right person for the answer. But at least that you have the fact that you have a question in you tell that you are longing for something more than just to settle for some very simple. Now, all of you here at least agree with me that in the church, they do not allow young people to lead the church. And they all, even in different ways, to say that the reason is they're inexperienced, they're not training, they're too young to know, they're not wise enough. They don't deny the fact that they're more intelligent, but they're not wise enough, and they don't have enough experience to do those things. Now, if we all, let me ask you this line and the other row, do you agree with the first row? That's what they give the answer. Do you agree with that? You agree that the church did not allow young people to lead. You agree with that, right? Then, if we agree with that, at least conceptually, we are very logical people. We're smart enough to know. Remember, we talk with reason. So if we agree with them, then now we come to the second part. Then why our parents sometimes demands and tell us to do something or the church to do something that we disagree with? Or that either we disagree with or we don't want to do. Then maybe it's time for us to rethink our question. Because we don't want to accept them or because they are wrong. Sometimes before we sit down and talk about this, we think that if we are the leaders, if we take the leadership, we will do it right. But then when we sit down in a very logic way, we say that no, we cannot be the leaders. The simple reason we are not wise enough, we're not experienced enough. And if that's the case, then we have to respect their leadership. The only problem is their leadership is different from our leadership because they tell us to do things that we don't want to do. And if they tell us to do something we don't want to do, then put in the reason again, because we're smart people. Then who's wrong here? They are wrong or we are? Just a minute ago, we accept that they are right. They are right because they're more experienced, they can lead, they can do, they may not be intelligent as we are, but they are right. And if they are right, then maybe we are wrong. My point is very simple. My point is this. In this land and at this time, you see the people around you, non-Christians, non-believers, and even yourself, you never see the effect of our faith ever. With your parents, different. Remember the day you were born, the day that you got sick. Maybe they pray 24/7, they go to church, they pray, and the fact that you recover from your flu or from your, I don't know, malaria, those things is the strength in their faith, and because of that, they have a history, and because of that, they become devout Catholic. You haven't had that experience yet. So when when the parents ask you to go either to mass or to do something, because we do not have that kind of experience, we don't understand faith the same way that our parents understand. I tell you, I spent 28 days on the ocean. Now, when I talk to you, you just conceptually, you can get it. 28 days on the oceans, on the water, that's it. But what if you were me? What if you were me in the boat and they have a 24 hours and you in the ocean, there's a vast ocean. You don't see any boat and your ship, your boat's too small, it's up and down, and here's the wind, the sun, nothing cover you. And I remember when I come to Hong Kong, there's a two lines of women one side, men one side. We take all things off and throw it, so they burn it because they are afraid that we can carry some disease with us. And we walk, I think from the room from there to maybe shorter than here. And the line is not big, maybe from here to here. Just enough for a person to go. And when I go through the line, then they tell you walk slowly because they count the number. They count in Vietnamese because they're speaker. They said 1, 2, 1. And when they count like that, you keep walking. You keep walk 1, 2. And we walk like that. From that to here takes about 3-4 minutes. But what I do is we put the hand like this. And we walk through it. All the clothes, we take it off, burn it, because they're afraid of some kind of disease that we carry from the Vietnam. Everything they burn it. And when I walk it, I remember the first thing, there's a little goggle here, wear like glasses, a little goggle that you use to dive. You know what I'm talking about? Like you use them to dive in the ocean. So they give you one, you put it here. And when you walk through it, when I first walk through it, and I see they spray something, the first thing is some kind of chemical. It tried to kill those kind of bacteria. And then